Will you freeze grant funding for community health centers? Will you freeze federal funds for community health centers, the way the current administration has done?
The White House has made clear and no funds are going to be denied to any American for benefits in any program.
Do you know what happens at community health centers? Those are direct.
Are you talking about the Indian health centers?
No, I'm talking about community health centers across the country.
I understand that. I mean, I strongly
So you're going to excuse Indian health centers, which is good, but others are not. They're going to get their funds frozen.
I strongly support community health centers, as does the president.
So does that mean you're not going to freeze the funding that is currently frozen?
The White House has made clear that none of that funding is supposed to be frozen.
Sir, the direct payments are different than how the government operates. We fund the federal government down to community health centers. As a former governor, there's lots and lots of state programs that are related to health care that come from the federal government, they come down to the state, then it goes to local programs. All of those don't directly pay out $1 at a time, but they come from federal funding. They are all, even though they keep changing the guidance on a minute-by-minute basis, based upon 9:45 or 10:30 or 10:45, whatever time it is today, those funds are still frozen. Sir, I just honestly, I want to give you a fair shot, but I don't feel like you approach this job with the knowledge and candidly your willingness not to commit, try to recommend to the president to make sure these funds are unfrozen and that people's lives are at stake is a very disappointing answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right there, you heard RFK Jr., the now head of the Department of Health and Human Services, lie to the American people. He was a 9/11 and is a 9/11 denier, believing it didn't happen. It was a hoax. It was a false flag. Tell that to the victims of 9/11. Tell that to 2,000 families that had people in their life evaporate into thin air after a terrorist attack. And he said to the American people, as you heard right there, that they're not going to have to worry about first responders and their family being victimized by budget cuts led by Elon Musk. No, I'll support 9/11 and their families. That's a lie. And now 7 Republican GOP MAGA congresspeople from New York have written a scathing letter to Donald Trump and a scathing letter to RFK Jr. to demand the restoration of funding for first responders who were on the pile at 9/11. Talk about victimizing the victims. I'm Michael Popok. You're here on Legal AF. We don't victimize victims here on Legal AF. We hold them up. We support them. We defend them. Let's move on to what's just happened. There is a fund or a program that has been in place for the last 20 years that supports first responders and their family, continued research and medical research, try to find cures for the diseases that these people obtained by being on the pile and around 9/11. And Donald Trump should know about that program because he lived in New York during 9/11, because he has people in his cabinet that ran companies until about 2 days ago that lost 658 people. So he knows better. But he's so busy out there declaring at an event in Miami that there's going to be a Doge saving and everybody's going to get money because Elon Musk is so smart. He's so smart. He just cut a federal program and administrative personnel to help the victims of 9/11 when RFK Jr. said that was never going to happen. Let me read to you from the letter so that you know what I'm talking about. That's what we do here on Legal AF. We actually read from the letters. This is from 7 Republican congresspeople to the president. We write today to express our grave concerns regarding potential changes to the World Trade Center health program. They call it the program. It was set up by Congress in 2010 to provide monitoring and treatment for 9/11 related health conditions for enrolled responders and their survivors. There's 137,000 responders and survivors in the United States whose lives depend on the program. As you are aware, idiot, they didn't write idiot, but that's what the letter implies. On February 11th, you signed an executive order reforming the Federal Workforce to Better Serve Americans Act. What Americans is it better serving? To implement the Department of Government Efficiency DOGE Workforce Optimization Initiative, which led to the reduction in the program's workforce by 20%. While they go on to say, we are deeply concerned about the reports that statutorily required WTC research grants will be impacted by the recent HHS actions. That's RFK Jr. They're they're telling Trump that this is a mandatory statutory program by Congress and that the administrator is directed to conduct research on physical and mental health conditions that may be related to September 11th terrorist attacks, diagnose those conditions, and get them treatment. They also go on to say that the FDNY, the fire department in New York, may have its research grant terminated by the Centers for Disease Control, which oversees the program, because of the cut in funding. It is our understanding on page 2 that the now canceled grant was being used as part of its efforts to compare disease incident rates across FDNY versus other urban places in order to make better decisions about how to help autoimmune and cardiovascular diseases and conditions that are suffered by the victims. Last paragraph, to fulfill our moral obligation. That's something that's missing from the Trump administration, a moral obligation to 9/11 survivors and responders. We must ensure that the program not only has the necessary resources, but also is properly administered so that the program members receive the high quality care they need and deserve. We urge you, as Trump, as a native New Yorker, the king of New York, he declared himself, because he got rid of a 3-week-old or 4-week-old congestion toll pricing coming out of the tunnel. How about helping the 9/11 victims? We urge you as a native New Yorker who lived in New York to reverse these actions by rehiring the terminated staff, restoring the canceled FDNY research grant contract, and fencing off the program from further cuts in spending, signed by 7 different members of Congress, all Republican. What are we watching here with this administration? Cost cutting to what end? To what benefit? You and I and other Americans are less safe and less secure because of this failed Trump administration that's only 4 weeks in the making. I don't want another dollar in my pocket from some fake Doge savings. I want 9/11 victims and first responders not to be victimized again. And Donald Trump wants all information, all decision-making to go through him as the unitary executive. He wants to make all legal interpretations. He wants to make all administrative law interpretations. Only he can do it. He can barely put a sentence together during a speech. Has anybody seen him lately? He leans on the podium like, he's waiting for to be relieved on the next shift. There's no one to relieve him, unfortunately. We're stuck with him and these terrible bird brain ideas of his. And now even the Republicans are up in arms. When Republicans are attacking Trump, things have gone too far. Donald Trump's administration is busy trying to figure out a way to circumvent court orders and court rulings, and how to find a loophole. Well, this administrator was enjoined by the judge. Let's get another administrator to do it in a different way, interpret a different part of the law a different way, and let's keep cutting funding, keep cutting. Let Elon Musk look through everybody's private and sensitive medical information. That's the administration that we have. And the balls and the immorality and the depravity of going out and having RFK Jr., a 9/11 denier, forget about election denier, vaccine denier, human health denier, human physiology denier. He's ultimately making the decision after he lied to Congress, as you saw. That goes beyond the pale even for this administration. And we're going to continue to follow it all right here. You're on Legal AF already. So I'm going to ask you, hit the blue subscribe button and help continue to support the growth of this channel. It is important now more than ever that we sit at the intersection of law and politics and we hold Donald Trump and his administration accountable, first with knowledge and truth, and then at the midterm elections. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.